So starting off, what is project management? But I want to start with what is a project. It is a series of connected tasks with a single defined purpose. There is an outcome to this, and it's unique every single time. So every project you'll ever do, ever, will be unique. That's true for any aerospace program. That's true for any facilities I might build. It's true for any IT projects. You might build software. It's true for planning a holiday dinner, which is your foreshadowing for your breakout session in a minute. It's unfamiliar because you haven't done it. And so when you feel a little out of sorts because it's unfamiliar, that's a project. That's what they're supposed to feel like. So don't worry about how you're feeling in that regard. You just need to keep working your way through the challenges with your team. It's temporary. A project starts and a project ends, just like Martian Greenhouse. And normally there is something at stake. Projects tend to be hard because they are new, they are unique, they involve a team. There's a lot of resources expended of your time and talent. And so you need to have something that makes it worthwhile. So that's what's at stake. And there's sort of two sides to project management. I'm going to talk through a little bit of the technical sides about how you define project elements, how you do task lists and action items and make documentation. And I'll briefly touch on one of the management skills that we use, which is communication methods. There's a lot to communications, and I only have 15 minutes. So that's why I'm briefly talking about it. So if you remember nothing else, project management, there are three things in every project: scope, budget, and schedule. Those three things combined is what makes up a project. In your case, each is going to impact the other, but you do not have to worry about something you should confirm with your teacher, nor about scope and how that all fits together. Just know that each element, if I only have time, that is going to make some decisions for me about how much scope I can tackle. You have an end date, CDR, you have a midpoint, PDR. Those milestones are not going to move. You must be ready. And so you will make decisions around your scope within your project team to make sure you can get everything you want to have done in that time. Every project always starts with scope. What are you trying to accomplish? In this case, we've given you a very straightforward challenge. How do you grow plants on Mars? But from there, you need to expand upon that. And I'll talk through how you do that here in a minute with what's called the project charter. Every project that I've ever been a part of that's been successful is always a collaboration. It is very much something that each of you has a part to play, and you all have to play off each other, similar to the way this works. And I see my note about my audio. I'm trying to stay close to my mic, but I'll do my best. So this is a form that I'm going to hand you. That's the project charter. It's in the documentation from today's meeting. You'll have access to it. It has your project team, your stakeholders, those people that are involved. But the part I want to focus on is this section here. This is what I mentioned is the project scope. This is what that section of the form looks like. Why are you doing the project? What is the purpose? If you are all not aligned as to why you are doing what you're doing, it's very difficult to be successful and collaborate. What are you trying to achieve as a measurable objective? And then what is your hope? Both what is in the project as well as what is not in the project. And so as for instance, for your Martian greenhouse, as you discuss with your mentors and your teachers, you may decide you want to tackle the structure of the greenhouse, maybe be designing a lighting system to grow plants, maybe a watering system, maybe a control system, maybe a power plant. Maybe you're defining what kinds of plants you're growing. Any of those things are up for debate amongst your team. You do not have to tackle all of them. You do not have to tackle even some of them. You can choose to pick one or two and really focus in. But what I want you to do is make sure you all agree, and I want you to put it in your charter. That's the documentation side, so that you all agree we are not doing the power system. Because 3 weeks from now, someone's going to remember, hey, wait a second, are we doing a power system? And you need to pull out your charter and remind yourselves, no, we all agree we are not doing that, because those things become distractions and people run off down roads that they need to be spending better time on other things as part of your scope. Last section in scope is your deliverables. What are the actual work products you plan to make? Could be presentations, could be the mock-ups, could be any sort of marketing materials about your team, could be videos, could be pictures. The tangible work products, those are deliverables. Once you have a scope, I want you to make a pull plan, and I'll tell you what a pull plan is. Every single project is made up of linked goals. I need this done, I need this done, I need this done. Those are individual goals. Each of those goals is interconnected. I can't, for instance, build a water system until I design a water system. So a design is what's called a predecessor to construction. Each of these goals are tasks that have owners and can be tracked. We'll talk about how to do that. And what I want to do is what we call it a pull plan, is you start with the end in mind. So starting from CDR, that's task A. We know we have to complete CDR. What's in it? What's before that? What's before that? What's before that? And you're going to work your way back in time through all those tasks till you get to tomorrow, for instance, the first day of your project. That's how a pull plan works. This is a pull plan from one of my projects. That's dates you can see up top. Each of those sticky notes is a very specific task that someone owes someone else. And we all get together in a big conference room and we put them on a board and we organize our project. It's literally sticky notes and markers. This particular pull plan was the global headquarters of a corporation that I've worked for here in Colorado. So very large building. Other pull plans look smaller. These are two high school teams I've worked with, creating their own pull plans. You see the sticky notes again. What happens in each week? The team on the right was trying to figure out how to launch a CubeSat. So they were trying to understand, backing up from launch, again, that date's not moving. What do we have to have the week before launch, the week before that, the week before that, till we get to the present week? And they organize themselves that way. The top right was one of my teams that I've mentored. They were trying to figure out how to build a 8-foot by 16-foot pinball machine for a science competition they were in. So they were organizing themselves the same way. Talk a lot about those tasks and organizing. How do you keep track of all that? This is also in the templates when you get together with your mentor, your teacher, maybe more than once a week. You pull this thing out and you walk through what was necessary. You task if you're done off, or need help, column can be up. And making sure that we have due dates, new process leads into how we go through project planning, which is this: define, plan, do, review. Now you know the magic 4 words for project management, DIPTR. You're going to define your project as the project charter. You're going to create a plan, what tasks need to be done by who. You're going to go do some work, all those tasks. Anyone waiting on you? Do you need anything else from others? And then you all get back together and you review that project plan. How well did you do? Did you learn anything new? Do we have to change our plan? You go right back into the cycle to define new tasks, create new plans, and you do this every week. This is the iterative cycle of project management. Sometimes this happens over a course of months in your case. The longest project I know about in the aerospace world, I want to say it was a tie between one of the older programs and the James Webb Space Telescope. There was a 22-year program. So they did this cycle for 22 years until they got it launched and in position. So can be a very drawn out process. Lastly, I'll close with communication. Single biggest problem in communication is the illusion it is taking place. You have to be very deliberate in making sure you talk to each other. And so we talked about a project charter, but what I want to have you do is I want you to make a team charter. Who's on your team? How do we agree to work with each other? I agree to come to weekly meetings. I agree to provide status updates. I agree to be committed to the goals we've defined. What kind of rewards are we going to give each other along the way? Is there anything not allowed? For instance, no cell phones in meetings. That's typically a good thing. How are we talking to each other? Is it over Slack, Zoom, email, text, WhatsApp? How you communicate is not nearly as important that we agree to do it together. So these are the kinds of questions that'll be in the slide to each other about these kinds of things that help lay the foundation to create the project plan, which is what then you use to drive your project forward. So where do you go from here? You jump into Dipter. And I've mentioned the templates. These will be, as I said, available to you. They look like this. I've included some instructions in here. So you've got that. You've got the project charter. So there's the scope section, deliverables, and then there's the action item log. So you'll have all of this available to you in the Martian Greenhouse Google Drive so you can get going. And with that, I'm 2 minutes over, but I am done. So a brief question or two, otherwise we're going to move on to Phenom. All right. Certainly you know how to get a hold of me. Your teacher does at least. If you have questions throughout the process, this is not a once and done thing. This is very new, as I said. You're going to have questions as you go through this. I am here to help this entire time. I will be on every meeting I can be, but don't wait for Tuesday. If you have a question on Thursday, send me an email. I'll get back to you. Thank you.